Hi everyone. Hi everyone. Hi, welcome. All right, so everyone's trickling in slowly but surely. Welcome to week 2 of our business growth program. Very exciting. Today we're going to talk about positioning. So we're going to wait a couple of seconds as everyone joins us on our live streaming of this event. Thank you for joining us. All right, there's a few more coming in. As you come in, you'll see to the right where it says top chat. Click on that. There's a down arrow. Make it live chat. That will give you access to exactly what's being said right now by all the attendees. So as you are trickling in, welcome to week 2 of our business growth program. On your screen to the right where it says top chat, click on that and make it live chat. This will make sure that you have access to all the comments live as it's happening. All right, we are live streaming today from our studio. It is week 2 of our business growth program, and week 2 is all about brand culture. As you're all trickling in, thank you, welcome. I know you have busy days and your schedules are hectic, and I really appreciate it that you have set aside this hour to join us on this journey of business development. So thank you for that. Again, if you are joining now, to the right of your screen, you'll see that it says top chat. Click on that and make it live chat so that you have access directly to all what's been said right now. And very exciting. So thank you guys for joining us. All right, it is week 2. And week 2, we are going to be talking about your brand culture. I want to briefly recap. Last week, it was all about the hard truths of business. And hopefully I didn't scare you guys off with the stats. And the first stat of failing a business is positioning, and that is our main focus today. So it really is a pivotal part of what we're discussing. And then last week we also spoke about the lean canvas. Thank you to those who sent me your lean canvases. I had the opportunity to work through it with you, and I hope that from it you were able to gain much better insight into your business. All right, so thank you so much for that. Again, if you have just joined us, thank you and welcome. Please make sure when you see to the right of the screen that you change top chat to live chat. This will give you direct access to what is being said in the commentary, and let's get stuck in. Alrighty, guys, this is super exciting. Why? Because brand culture and fundamentally positioning, besides sales being the cornerstone of any business, because that's what I always preach and absolutely believe in, is positioning. Last week we spoke about the hard truths of business, and where do most businesses fail? Positioning. You can name it what you want, but if you didn't understand who you are working for, what your service is, who you're offering it to, what pain are you solving, where do you fit in this crowded marketplace, you're going to get stuck in your business. All right, brand culture 2.0 is where we're at today. Before we get stuck into that, I want to make sure a quick sound check. Can everyone hear me okay? Are we all on the same page? I want to make sure that the sound check is in order before we get started, because I don't want you to miss anything that's going to be said in the session. Honestly, this positioning session is so pivotal to your business. In fact, my feeling is that out of the 12-week program, if this is your one takeaway, great. Then my job has been done. All right, so let's make sure sound check. Is everyone on board? Are we there? Cool. All right, fabulous. Okay, so let's get stuck into branding. Now, branding, and if you ask any business person, and I want to say those who are new to the business world, so your startups, your new entrepreneurs, if you ask them what's branding, one of the first things they're going to say to you is, it's my logo. But is it really? Because what is your logo? Yes, it's a great portion of what you're putting out there, what you want people to see. But branding isn't your logo. Branding, and as you can see on my screen, is a component of many of these things. So your branding is your business voice. There's a certain way that you speak to your market. There's certain terms that you're going to use. There's certain language that you use with your market. Your business culture. And because it's such an important part of branding, your business culture is, I want to work at this company. I want to work at Amazon for these reasons. I want to work at Google because they make sure that you play. I want to make sure that I can work at somewhere like Yahoo because they take you on a business journey every 2 weeks, for example. So that is the business culture. You want to make sure that whatever you have internally, what's working inside your business, is communicated to the outside world. Everyone is watching. Who's watching? What content are you putting out there for people to say, yes, this brand is trustworthy, they're credible. I want to work with them. I want to be a part of that organization. All right, who are you speaking to? Your branding, your communication is so important because, yes, you can do very much a broad stroke version of marketing and putting out messages and just putting it out to make sure there's activity on social media, but are you doing the right thing? Because if you're putting out content for the sake of putting out content and you're getting no conversion, well then, guys, you are failing. If you're not converting, if you're not leveraging the power of your social media for your brand, you are failing. You need to optimize and maximize these free tools that's been given you. Color palettes. Yes, your logo is important, but colors, there's a psychological thing when it comes to colors. If you go and do your research on color palettes, you'll understand, you'll really start to understand that there are certain segments of the market that purple will speak with, green, orange, that green evokes a certain emotion, that blue instills confidence. If you look at European companies, and I'm speaking specifically in the medical field, you'll notice that throughout their color palette is white, blue, and red. It gives you this sense of security. It gives you a sense of confidence of, my life is in good hands here. They are stable, they're reliable as a company. All right, I want you to be sure and write this down. Go and do your research on color schemes, color palettes, the psychology behind color. You'll see on social media that I say, oh yeah, the color for the year is pink or purple or whatever. But what is the psychology behind it? Do you know that women between the ages of 35 and 43 in the executive fields respond better to deep purple than your 18 to 25-year-olds? Why is it important to know your target market? Because you need to know, what age group am I speaking to? If I'm speaking to men in the IT field and they are aged between 45 and 54, I need to know that light blue has a subliminal leveraging on them. That when they see light blue, it evokes a sense of stability and they want to do business with me. When I'm speaking to millennials, that neon green means that you're a fun and zesty business, but I'm not so sure whether you have value add. Do you see where I'm going with this? All right, so color forms a very important nuance in any business. And it forms such a great part of your branding. Fonts. Again, if you look at, let's say, Coca-Cola, we know that their kind of font, when we see it, if there's any other words spelt in that particular font, subliminally, we still know it's linked to Coca-Cola. And the same goes for Facebook. Facebook has a certain font and that Facebook blue that we all know so well. The same with LinkedIn. They've got a particular font and their particular blue. It's all subliminal. And if you start building your brand to identify with the same market that they are branding to, man, half your job is done. All right. Hashtags. How important are hashtags really? Hashtags are as important as any part of the content that you have in your social media post, because hashtags will reach a certain crowd if they're not already within your community. Remember, on all the different platforms, whether it's Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, uh, Instagram, people will sign up to a certain set of hashtags or keywords, and they want to be advised or alerted when someone has posted with the hashtag sales or the hashtag business course, because we cannot see everyone's feed all the time. So and because the algorithms have changed, particularly in Instagram as well, if you like a post, then you'll see only certain things within your feed. And I think Facebook has kind of followed the same way, that you're missing out on all these things happening over here and you're only seeing over here. So if you subscribe to different hashtags, you are already broadening your audience. So I would really encourage you, write this down, go and do your hashtag research. Go and see where your business fits into particular hashtag sets and go to A/B testing. Don't decide, okay, these are the 10 hashtags I'm going to use and that's it, I'm done. No, because your business is evolving, because you are evolving as a business person, your content should continue evolving. There's a great term that we learned last night, and I absolutely love it because it resonates with me. Orbiting planets. So you as the center, you want to make sure that you bring other people into your sphere, other planets into your sphere. And by making sure that you're part of the hashtag set, the keyword set, you're bringing other orbits closer to you. So these orbiting planets, you're drawing them to you. So if I can equate it to, instead of going out and cold calling, you have put up a signpost and a lamppost, people walking past, and they're calling you. All right, so that's ultimately what you want to do with marketing, is bring people to you, into your sphere. Hashtag research, write it down, very, very important, alongside with your color research. So important. All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty of what is branding, because yes, branding is all of these things. It's your voice, it's the culture, it's who your target market is, it's which platform is your crowd hanging out on, it's using the right fonts, the right kind of content that you put together, the right kind of images, it's knowing your hashtags. But ultimately, what is it? Positioning. You can call it minimum viable product, you can call it product market fit. I like the term positioning. It's a powerful word, isn't it? Positioning. How am I positioning myself to my market? How is the market perceiving me based on my positioning? What part of the market do you own? What part of the market do you really own? Or what part of the market do you think you own? We all have assumptions. We all think, yes, people need my product, they need my service. And I spoke to 4 people, and based on those 4 people, there's a market for it. So they need it, they have to have it. And I'm doing business, I've got my branding done, I've developed a website, got quotes out, I've signed up 3 clients, I've got a market. How much of that market do you actually own? Wouldn't it be great to say that in the web dev world, and I'm referring back to my pseudo company of last week, Website Supreme, that of the web dev world, I own 65% of the speaker market. I develop websites for them. Wouldn't that be great? What is your client's perception of your business? How do people see you and your brand out there? And guys, branding is not just this one-dimensional colors and fonts and whatever. It's the person behind the business as well. Again, people buy from people. And if I don't know who I'm dealing with, if I don't get to know the Donna or the Teresa behind the brand, or the Gary, or the Grant, well, do I really want to do business with you? Because now I've got 5 quotes in front of me, and all 5 quotes look the same. But out of the 5, I know Grant. Grant has done extra research. Grant has spoken to me with his social media. Grant's content on his website has led me down a customer journey that I really enjoyed. Grant's onboarding was amazing. Grant, Grant, Grant. All right, that is your branding. That's positioning. And are you seen as a thought leader in your space? People no longer want to be influenced by this onslaught of ads and whatever else. They want to be given the time to go and do the research, and they will only know if you're a thought leader if you have positioned yourself, yes, positioned yourself in such a manner that you said, hi, I'm the thought leader here, you need to do business with me. Ultimately, that's what you're doing. With whatever blogs you're putting out, whatever publications, whatever social media content, your videos, whatever else that you're doing for your brand to be seen, are you telling people subliminally, you're the thought leader, you're the authority, you're the go-to person? Something to think about. Tell me, who was daunted by the email that I sent on Sunday saying, here's your pre-work, when they saw, oh my hat, I need to do 60 hours in order for this to work? Guys, be honest with me, who was daunted when they saw that? Who was completely put off and said, no ways, I'm not dedicating 60 hours to this? Because if you're honest with me and you said that you're not going to do it, my friend, I'm telling you, you're setting yourself up for failure. Again, if there's nothing else that you take away from these sessions, understand your positioning. If you need to understand your positioning well, you need to take the time to go and do your research. My pre-work to you was, write down 20 words about your brand. And I didn't want you to think about it too much, so any word that popped up, I wanted you to write it down. All right, so the concept is to write down these 20 words and then to ask 20 questions on those 20 words. So if you said green, then ask yourself, why did I say the color green? What is it about green that made me think of my brand? Word it how you want. And then the answer, after going to do your research, would then help you define your positioning. All right, so if you had said green, you then go and do 2 to 3 hours of research on the word green, the meaning of green, the emotional connection to green, what green symbolizes, who uses green, why do they use green, is green linked to a certain season, and so on and so on. And that will help give you insight into what positioning is. So you could look at anything, shades of green, green apples, green trees, green skirts, I don't know, green racing cars. Why is there such a thing as green racing car? And why does that make you think of your brand? Write this down. In order for this 20-20-20 rule to work, you need to gain insight into every word that you wrote down. And I did the exercise myself. All right, so here's my case study. We're going to take me, Corin Wessels, as a speaker. I want to position myself as a speaker. And I wrote down a whole lot of words, and I didn't think about it too hard. So you'll see quite a few random words here. I'll read them out to you. So what we're looking at is a whole lot of random words. Like I said obsessed. I said sales. I also had a couple of colors in there. Crossbow. Why would I think of crossbow when I think of myself speaking? It's because someone who is steady with their hand, someone who can aim and target, someone who has patience, will breathe. Because when you're on stage, you need to be calm. You need to be centered. And if you're shooting a crossbow, surely the same kind of things would be pertinent. I have other words like showdown. And if you're on stage, you need to make sure that you own the stage, that you, again, become a thought leader in your space. All right. The other words, I've got lighthouse, muscle memory, good vibes, minimalist, etc., etc. I'm going to take you through 3 of the words and show you how I did that research. All right. My first word is obsessed. Now, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Grant Cardone, and I realize that the streaming is a little bit delayed. So what you see on your screen shortly is Grant Cardone's website. Now, Grant Cardone is a very well-known property investor, and he is so good at making sure that we understand the value of what it is when it comes to sales. All right, so if you missed it, here's the slide on my power words that I used. Let's run through them again quickly. So you'll see things like green, red, different colors. You'll see things like oil painting, Mona Lisa. I'm not going to go through all of them and why they struck me, but stick with me, okay? All right, so I'm going to use obsessed. I'm going to take you through obsessed. I'm going to take you through a minimalist, and I'm going to take you through influencer. Cool beans. So what you'll see here, and I hope you can see it now, is Grant Cardone's website. Again, Grant Cardone he's set to become a billionaire property investor by the end of 2019 to the start of 2020. Grant Cardone is fantastic at sales, and for him, everything is 10x. He believes absolutely in 10 times everything. So if he is knowledge seeking, and therefore the word obsessed, if he's knowledge seeking, he does it 10 times. If he does sales training, he does it 10 times. If he does it property investment, he does it 10 times more than anyone else. All right, so from my research, I realized that Grant Cardone is a prime example of when it comes to understanding the word obsessed, that he's the person to speak to, he's the person to look at, he's the person to follow. So what is he doing in his digital footprint and his online presence that makes it easy for us to say, right, we understand. When he talks about obsessed, we get it. We know what he means by obsessed. All right, so there you have it on your screens now, is Grant Cardone. And in fact, I encourage you to follow him. I encourage you to listen to podcasts of him being interviewed and YouTube interviews. There's a lot of insight there from this man. He is a sales guru. And they say, never call yourself a sales guru, but it's okay if other people call you a sales guru. My perspective of him, my perception of him is that he is phenomenal at sales because he's obsessed. He's obsessed with being successful. He's obsessed with being number one. He's obsessed with 10xing everything. If you look at his events, he packs football stadiums in America with people for business events. Man, that takes some doing. All right, so when I say obsessed, for my brand, speaker, how do I position myself? I need to emulate. What is Grant doing? Where is he being seen? Who's he speaking to? How does he speak to them? What colors are you using? What font does he use? How many times does he post? What kind of things does he share? Now you have insight, don't you? You have better insight into what it means when you say one word obsessed. Go onto the internet and spend 2 hours researching why you said obsessed. I'm obsessed about sales. I'm obsessed about helping other people. Grant Cardone is absolutely doing the same. He's obsessed about sales. He's obsessed about helping people and given them insight on how to do sound property investment and how to build a portfolio from doing just that. Right, my next word, and you either love her or hate her. Tech, I need some assistance here, please, for the next one. Okay, guys, there's always something, so always be good. All right, Victoria Beckham. Now, what I really like about the Beckhams, these people, Victoria and David, understand branding. They understand positioning to the penultimate degree. It's taken them 20 years, and guess what? They're billionaires. They are dollar billionaires. So guess who really understands branding? Guess who I want to learn from? The best. Now, if I take a look at Victoria Beckham, I think minimalist. Look at her logo. It's a very minimalist design. It's very clear. It's stylish. It speaks volumes, doesn't it? There's a certain level of affluence there. There's this luxury. There's things that I really, really want to associate with. And if you look at the way that the website's been designed, it's very minimalist. Your eye has been directed to the dress. Yes, there's a model wearing a dress. Oh wait, there's a model wearing a dress. But what do I see? The dress. Okay? Yay, someone who really, really gets the understatement of minimalism. But the effect that it has is outstanding. And I certainly want to emulate something like that when I position myself as a speaker. All right. Guys, write this down. Emulate the best. So if you want to become great at what you do, not good, you want to become great at what you do, identify people who are highly successful, who have been there and done that before you, and emulate what they do. When I say emulate, I mean copy. Copy what they do. Go and look at the kind of things that they share on their Instagram, on their Facebook, the kind of content that they put out, the imagery, the fonts, the shades. What kind of things are they doing? And make sure that you copy that. All right, then I have one more person, and I'm a huge fan of Gary Vee. All right, so Gary Vee, and guys, show of hands, quickly, in the comments. Is anyone familiar with Gary Vee? You can just show a quick thumbs up or a yes or whatever, but how many of you are aware of Gary Vee? Let's see in the comments quickly. Who knows Gary Vee? Anyone? Surely there must be someone in our crowd. Someone that has... Are we getting great results, moderator?
It's coming.
Is it coming? Okay. Guys, again, write this down. If there's one brand that you follow, make sure it's Gary Vee. I can tell you right now, if you don't need to sign up for any course after this course of right. So complete my course first, but you don't have to sign and pay for any course going forward. All you need to do is follow what Gary Vee is sharing on his social media. He's showing you on LinkedIn how to use LinkedIn. He's showing you on Facebook how to use Facebook. He's showing you on Instagram how to use Instagram. Gary Vee runs a marketing media company. But what is he known for? Giving away information. That's what he does. He is phenomenal at sharing insights and empowering us to be better at what we do. This silly thing of us in South Africa where oh no, you're going to steal my idea if I tell you we don't know how to support each other. No. Trust me, there's enough fish in the ocean. And Gary Vee is the epitome of that. He's showing us there's so much business out there. He will share his information with us. So he's an influencer. I want to become an influencer as a speaker. How do I position myself to become an influencer? By understanding what is Gary Vee doing. He speaks highly of every social media platform that he is in. So you'll see that all of his content is very much driven towards the platform that it's posted on. And again, If you follow him on LinkedIn, you'll see that he's very much a brand advocate for LinkedIn on LinkedIn. If you see him on Facebook, you'll see he's a brand advocate for Facebook on Facebook. Look at the way his website is built. It's a very minimalist menu. It's very easy to navigate. Strong colors, red. I associate red with sales and assertiveness and speaking on stage. He's got red in his website. Ah, okay. Insight. What kind of emotion does red evoke? Do you understand what I'm trying to make here? The point is, you will gain so much insight from doing research on every word that you've written down of your 2020. I cannot stress enough how absolutely important this session is, that you go and do the exercise. And I will say it again, it's going to take you 3 weeks, I don't know, maybe that long, to go and do proper research on every word. If you do 2 hours a day, and you take green today, and you take obsessed tomorrow, and influencer on Saturday, and whenever the next word, that you go and do proper research into what is happening in your bubble. Because again, if you want to emulate the great, how do you do that? You copy what they do. Look at things like, how do they structure the menu on their website? What fonts do they use? What do their logos look like? What coloring are they using? Are the call to action buttons a different color to the rest of the website? If the website call to action buttons are red and the rest of the website is white, what emotion will that particular red evoke in me as a visitor? Does it mean that I feel compelled to sign up for your newsletter? I feel compelled to book that consultation with you. What is your positioning? How do you position yourself in the market? All these little factors come together to make up positioning. Again, and I love this quote. And those of you who have been to my other training, you'll know that I say it often. How you are anywhere is how you are everywhere. And by that I mean is how you act behind closed doors is how you are out in public. So write it down. Write it down or type it. How you are anywhere is how you are everywhere. If you think, man, today's rushed, I didn't have time for the ladies to put my makeup on and do my hair and to dress, and I'm still in my bedroom slippers, but I have to run out to go buy some bread and get prepaid electricity. What is your brand saying about you? For the guys, have you combed your beard? Have you brushed your French? I don't know what guys do for Mark for making all nice, but whatever it is that you do, make sure that your brand represents you at all times, that your brand does not fail you. Is your car clean? How do you speak to your children in public? All of this is part of your brand. How do you deal with customers and suppliers? How do you treat a waiter when you go to a restaurant? How do you treat the tea lady? How do you speak to the CEO? What do you do when you come across a celeb? All of this is how your brand is perceived by other people. So make sure that you're always on point, because how you are anywhere is how you are everywhere. And you need to position yourself in such a manner that people want to reach out to you, they want to be a part of it. Okay, question. So, how do we emulate people or a brand so that we can offer our service in a different way to our competitors? How do you copy successful people? What do you do to make sure that you can emulate them online? All right. Here's a quote that I love. Fall in love with your customer. Everything that you do, make sure that you do it with the right intention. It's part of your positioning. If people realize that you're being authentic, and that you're doing it with good intent, that you take their interest to heart, they'll want to do business with you. Fall in love with your customer. Make the journey about the customer. Make sure that what you're offering is of the highest value, the greatest benefit. And I want to share my screen with you. Give me a second. There we go. All right. So fall in love with your customer. It's such a powerful thing. In fact, I want you to write this down as well. Fall in love with your customer. It's powerful, isn't it? Because it places your mind in a different space. It puts you in a different mindset. Do everything with the right intention, isn't it? Because if you come across as being authentic and having other people's interests at heart, they automatically want to do business with you. It's an important part of positioning. And then something else to think about is we often say that there's a gap in the market, there's a gap in the market. I can do something, I've got a service I can offer people, I've got a product. But you also need to ask yourself, is there a market in the gap? Another powerful thing. Please write it down. A gap in the market versus a market in the gap. So yes, there might be a need for bread, but does everyone want bread? Are we not moving to a healthier way of eating? Are we not maybe more going vegan or eating more vegetables, as an example? All right, so make sure that what you thought was a market, that there is actually a market. Don't assume things. Go out and go do your groundwork. But before you do anything, go and do the 20-20 rule. Go and do that hard graft. And I know it is. It's going to be hours of research. It's honestly going to give you so much insight into your business. It's going to give you the kind of research that you've never had to pay for. If you think of the millions and millions that the big brands have spent on market research to put together, you're getting it for free, aren't you? If you go and do your research on how Coca-Cola has positioned themselves or how Reebok has positioned themselves, you don't have to go and pay some market research company $10 million and 5 years of failing to really understand what it is that you want to do. You're getting all of this market research for free. You're getting millions of dollars worth of research for free. Well, not quite for free. You need to go and spend the time to go and do the research. So you're going to have to sacrifice your Game of Thrones or whatever Netflix thing you're watching, maybe a bit of sleep. You might have to sacrifice a weekend or two, but guess what? It's for you. It's for the success of your business. You need to make sure that you understand how you're positioned in the market. How have you positioned yourself? Have you positioned yourself as a thought leader, as a go-to person, as someone who's reliable and credible, as a service provider that someone wants to do business with? I really, really hope that you have found this session of value. I'm going to open the floor now to questions. So I will ask my moderator to throw questions at me. But guys, please, in the comment section now, it's over to you. Now, while we are here, ask as many questions as you want. Is there something that you require clarity on? Is there something that wasn't clear? Let me know. Let's go.
How do we emulate people or brands that is different from ourselves or that offers a different service? So how do we emulate them even though they're different from us?
All right, the question is, how do we emulate a brand that offers something different to us? And I think it's quite easy, is don't look at it one-dimensionally. Look at it as something as a holistic offering. How do they present themselves to their market? How are they perceived? Because if there's one takeaway from their particular brand, so let's say I don't know why I'm stuck on bread, but
Not a good idea. Move on.
all right. So we need to make sure that there's certain nuances of a successful brand that we emulate. You don't have to copy them precisely, word for word, post for post. Go and look at certain nuances. Again, take a look at what we presented in the beginning. Things like color palette, fonts, their styling on their website, the kind of posts that they share, the imagery that they use. And take elements from that to make your brand positioning better. Next question.
How do we stay authentic while emulating the best?
How do you stay authentic? And you know, you got to stay true to yourself. You got to make sure that your voice always comes through. And I might sound like I'm repeating myself, but again, take elements from the greats. Take only elements and make it your own. So take certain pieces of what resonates with you, but under your branding, under your voice, under your personality, you make it your own. So you morph it that way.
What would you say is the most important introduction on the homepage of the website?
The question is, what is the most important introduction on the homepage of a website? It's a great question. And you want to make sure that above the fold, so your screen is split and you only see the landing part of a website, that speaks to the visitor immediately. What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to see? How do you want them to perceive your brand when they land on that part of your website? And it could be anything, but it has to be you. It's got to be the way you position yourself. It could be a couple of power words. It could be a video. It could be a call to action. But that you're going to only know once you've defined who your target market is through your 2020 concept. Next question.
What's the best motivating factor or quote one can use for the start of your day?
Best motivating factor or quote when starting your day? Well, I've been sending you guys YouTube clips, motivational YouTube clips, so you could watch any motivational clip every day. You could look in the mirror and smile. Isn't that motivation? To say, hey, world, it's a fresh new day, let's get going. You could motivate yourself through yoga. You could breathe, drink a great cup of coffee, go walk outside. Whatever it is that you need to do, you'll know what it is that will motivate you. And that's what you need to focus on.
If you have written down a person's name in your head, how do you research it? Let's say, for example, you written down Albert.
All right. The question is, if you've written down a person's name that resonates with your brand, for example, Albert or John, type in the word John in Google. It's a starting point. Then go type in definition of John. Go type in the root of John. Go type in synonyms of John. La, la, la. Anything surrounding the word John. That it could be anything. It could be the Latin word for John. Go and do Google Translate and go find different variations of John, because maybe there's a word there that comes out.
Okay, if you've written down something like Reba, I'm trying to start a virtual assistant.
I like it. All right. The question is, if you wrote down a word, for example, like Reebok, and you are starting a virtual assistant company, what does Reebok do? Who do they appeal to? Who's their target market? Obviously, it's people in the leisure space, athletes, people who are athletic have a different mindset. And you might discover something that, for instance, you appeal to people who are runners, who have a specific mindset. So the Reebok thing could be, how does their social media look? How do they make people feel when they engage with their brand? And that's another important point is, when I engage with your brand, how does it leave me feeling? What is the experience that I gain from it? And it could be the same thing with Reebok. Yes, they've got a massive marketing budget, but when you've engaged with their brand, how do you walk away feeling? from that engagement? Who's their crowd? Who do they speak to? Next question.
Would you suggest setting up a questionnaire relating to your brand/business that you need out to send to people all over to fill out and do your market research that way, together with other research?
All right, that's quite a mouthful. So the question is whether you should send out a document to understand your brand better, a kind of a way of doing market research by sending out a set up document to people as well as other documentation. And yes and no. I'm skittish about doing that kind of thing because will it get lost in someone's inbox? Again, how do you make that person feel when you present them with a document? Remember, we live in a society of what's in it for me. So if you want to do your research by sending out an email to random people, while you may never get a response, but if you send it out to 20 very well known people in your community, people who have engaged with you and you want to get their input, then maybe pick up the phone and say, hey, John, I'm sending you this document. I'm doing research for my business. I would love your input. Go onto LinkedIn, find a thought leader and say, in your particular space, and say, I want to get your input on whatever. So don't just send out a random document as part of your market research. I wouldn't encourage that. Remember, how do you make that person feel by doing that? And how are you rewarding them for them taking their time to answer your document? I hope that answers the question.
I see a lot of VAs feel they have to use the word virtual assistant in the company name. Isn't that limiting the options for business expansion in the future?
That's a great question. And the question is very much virtual assistant related, that this person has noticed when people starting a virtual assistant business, they feel obliged to use the word virtual assistant in the company name. And I think for now, it's a way of explaining to people what you do. You know, there is a certain kind of mindset in our market where we are still a little bit scared to outsource. And it's a way of encouraging people by using the word virtual assistant in your name for them to use your services. However, if your company name is so well written and it's a clever way of putting words together, then you don't need to use the virtual assistant. Because remember, part of your branding is not only your logo, but your company name. What does your name, your company name, say about your business? Does it tell the person immediately what you do, or you still need to go on and explain what you do? Next question.
Would you say having a poll on your site as social media is a good way of engaging clients?
The question is it a good idea to have a poll either on your website or on social media as a good way of engaging clients? It really depends on the crowd. If you're on Facebook, people are in a very much a social mindset. If you're on LinkedIn, people are in a very much a business mindset. And yes, it's a good way to get engagement and to gauge where people's minds are at. But isn't there better ways of doing that? Why do you want to get engagement? Is it a way of converting prospective clients into paying clients? Is it a way of keeping your brand awareness out there? I would ask myself, if I were you, what is your intention with wanting to put the poll together? Because if you understand what your intention is, then you'll understand how to position it in such a way to get better engagement from your crowd.
Karen, please address the issue of USP and brand positioning.
There's a question about USP in brand positioning, USP, your unique selling proposition. And again, how do you position yourself? And it could take time.
Especially interested on how your business USP should address the pain points of the target market, focusing on solutions and benefits in the future.
All right, that's quite a mouthful as well. All right, the question is understanding how USP in your brand positioning will, say that again, will,
How will USP and brand positioning, I will address the issue of USP and brand positioning, especially if you look at the points of how do my pain points fit on the solutions and the benefits rather than how do I position myself in the future, but how do I position myself in the solutions?
All right. So the question is understanding what pain are you solving for your prospective clients in your positioning by using your USP, your unique selling proposition. And there's a lot of elements there. It's a very weighted question. Let's break it down. Let's deconstruct what it is that you're asking. One, do you understand what your unique selling proposition is? Do you know what your position is in the market? Do you understand what pain you're solving? Go and do the research on the 2020 concept, because if you have clarity on the pain that you're solving, so my product or service eases or offers a solution for a particular pain, and my unique selling proposition, so my differentiator to my competitors, can all be incorporated into this, but only if we understand where do we fit in the marketplace.
So the issue is I am doing X for Y and Z. So how do I use that to position myself in the positioning?
All right. My moderator is saying to me, an elaboration on the question is, if I'm doing X for Y at Z, how do we incorporate this into brand positioning? Guys, you only have 8 to 12 seconds to make an impression. And there's a lot of elements that you need to do to position yourself. Again, it takes time. There's not something that's going to happen overnight. Remember, your brand needs to be seen in front of people at least 9 times. And from that, you're going to establish yourself as a thought leader. So from that, people will understand the kind of pain that you're solving. They'll understand what the solution is. They'll understand why you are different to your competitor. But you need to position yourself in such a way. Now, as an example, if you go to my LinkedIn page, you'll see that I've positioned myself in sales. And that's quite a broad thing, but I get any and every sales inquiry under the sun because I position myself that way. I get inquiries for sales recruitment, for sales lead generation, for sales coaching, sales training, sales speaking, because I position myself that way, because I understand the pain of my market. Don't expect yourself to get through this overnight. It's a transition period. We need to understand, in order to understand positioning, we need to understand where do we fit in the market. And then we need to understand what is our unique selling point. Again, I bring it back to the 20-20-20. If you don't understand where you fit in the marketplace, you're not going to understand who your service is best suited to, what pain you solve. I could go on and on. Let's move on to the next question. All right. That's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. If there is something that you want to ask me, you are more than welcome to pop me an email, Karen@KarenVessels.com. I am more than happy to help out where I can and to give my input and opinion. I want to say thank you so much for setting aside this hour to join me on this journey. I really hope that you found the session insightful, but even more so, that the kind of insights you'll gain from brand positioning, i.e. doing your 20-20-20, will help position you in such a manner that your business can only be but successful. All right, guys, so thank you so much again. I really appreciate your time. Pop me an email if there's anything else you want to ask me, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.